Hello, this is John Scribante. Welcome to Real Property Management. Today I'm going to talk about a topic that I've talked about in the past, and that's 5 ways that you can make more money in real estate rental properties. So let's get started. So first of all, the inflation that you're seeing in maintenance specifically is far outpacing that of ordinary inflation or total inflation. This is a chart that was put together by Ray Husband that illustrates how maintenance expenses are increasing at a much higher pace than normal inflation. And primarily what you're seeing is that it's added labor costs, but it's also tariffs, it's the availability of materials, it's the fact that we shut down for a couple of years during COVID, and a lot of this has never really caught up since then. So it's important to realize that just because there's been moderating inflation recently, the costs of repairing things has not moderated, number one, and it increased at a far faster pace than we saw in normal inflation. So keep that in mind. Inflation's getting up, and so your objective here in owning rental properties is to keep the maintenance expense to a minimum or avoid it altogether if possible. We'll talk about some ways to do that. So first of all, smart real estate investors are going to budget and create replacement reserves. The average annual cost for maintenance is 12%, and that's of gross rents, or about 1.5 months of rent per year over a 10-year period, meaning that not every year you're going to see 12%. Over average of 10 years, 12% is the expected cost. Now, that may seem high, but that also includes replacing roofs, siding, mechanical systems, and larger repairs to driveways and things of that nature. So smart business owners, landlords, because this is your business, build maintenance reserves and budgets in order to keep these costs in perspective. If you're not budgeting for maintenance or you're not building replacement reserves, your expectations are going to be missed. You're going to be upset because you had added costs and you didn't think you should have to pay for it or whatever. But if you build it in as cost of business and factor in not only maintenance reserves but also vacancies, you're going to have a much more realistic expectation of your financial performance, because not every piece of real estate is going to perform the same. We'll talk a little bit more about that down the line here. But keep up on your maintenance, because the number one reason that tenants cite for terminating their leases at the end of the term is primarily due to maintenance, is 70%. But you also see things like responsiveness. So not just fixing things, but fixing them fast. They want respect. They want their stuff fixed, and they want you to communicate appropriately. All right, so let's get into it. Number 1, no carpet. We got to get rid of all the carpet in the property. There's just no good reason to have carpets. I know people think that, it provides a warmer room, but people can bring in area rugs. They can bring in other things. The hard surface floorings are going to be a long-term maintenance-free option. Carpet in rental properties are going to be, 3 to 5 years. We can only depreciate it 5 years anyway. So if there are stains or damage, it's unlikely you're going to get a tenant to pay for that damage or any great amount of it. So you're going to want to restore vintage floors. So as a hard surface, sometimes there's a lot of staining, and we've seen epoxy paint being used, and that looks very nice in a lot of properties. Not all properties, but that's one option. And you also want to budget, if you've already got it in there, is make sure that on your turnover that you've got it in your plan. And install luxury vinyl, tile, or plank, match or go a different direction. The one thing you don't want to do is try to match and not do a good job at it. When I say go a different direction, sometimes you have, some vintage wood floors. The best thing would be a vinyl tile in that case, like a gray slate, a rectangular tile, as opposed to try and match a wood pattern to another wood pattern that just doesn't look well. Also, upgrade to a 20 mil wear layer. This will give you a lot longer, and it'll prevent a lot of damage that easily occurs in lesser mill layer flooring. All right, number 2, buy durable appliances and equipment. Your washers, dryers, go with Speed Queen, Maytag, Amana. These things have higher drive bearings, drive motors, higher quality. They're gonna have stainless steel tubs. There is just gonna be a much longer lasting. Speed Queen is built for multifamily properties, apartment buildings, and what have you, and they work great in single family as well. Don't get any extras. Stick with the basics. Fewer controls, fewer things that can go wrong. Your kitchen appliances, same thing. The brands there are going to be a little more, there's more variety in the brands. However, there are some brands that historically have had, and more recently have had, a lot of maintenance problems. So do your research on that. Talk to your property manager. They'll be able to give you a good recommendation. Your heating and ventilation, stick with high grade or mid grade. They're going to be quieter. They're going to be less maintenance. They're going to be easier to fix. And in a lot of cases, they're gonna last a lot longer. So you'll just get more mileage out of them. The big issue there is they're quieter, and so you get less tenant complaints. You want to remove your garbage disposals, your ice dispensers, humidifiers, particularly those that are attached to your furnace. All they do is leak. The residents don't change the filters. They don't know how to operate the controls. Any personal property you want to get out of there, that provides a lot of liability for the property. You don't want to add liability into the mix here. Don't leave lawnmowers, snow blowers. If somebody gets injured, it's your lawnmower that injured them. You just don't want to do that. Smart thermostats, TVs, cameras, get it all out of there. They don't know how to use them. They don't know how to care for them. And more importantly, if they don't know how to use it, you become, or the property manager becomes, technical support, and that's not a cost-effective approach. So despite what you may think, tenants may want these things, but that you don't as the owner. It's not a good business sense. Number 4, sell your older homes. I'm not going to talk a lot about this, but these older homes require a lot more maintenance. They cost more to repair due to the configurations of the old plumbing, electrical. A simple tub drain repair might involve $5,000 if there's lead pipes. It might involve opening up a lot of walls that are lath and plaster. They're just more expensive. Number 5, avoid turnover. So maintenance and turnover go hand in hand. As I said earlier, 70% of residents cite poor maintenance or slow maintenance as their reason for leaving the property. Respond immediately. Keep portable units available so that if there is a delay, you can get over there quick. And negotiate replacements during the off season. If you know you got a furnace coming up, don't call the furnace guy in January when it quits, because if you can get somebody to come out in a reasonable time, usually it's a lot longer. Instead of 1 or 2 days, maybe it's a week. And the cost of the materials are going to be higher. And quite frankly, some of these suppliers, not the suppliers, the installers, they might just give you a high rate because they already have a full, if there's a cold snap and a lot of furnaces are going out, they may not be all that interested in taking on another job unless it makes them a lot more money. So what you want to do is negotiate during the off season for that replacement. Perform preventative maintenance, such as dryer vent cabinets and the vents. Most of the fires start in the cabinet and then burn up through the vents. Sump pump, one of the major causes of water damage in houses with finished basements is going to be the sump pump failures. Your furnaces, AC inspections, get all those inspections done during off season and on a preventative basis. Get ahead of it. So those are the 5 reasons, or the 5 ways you can save money in property management, managing your property, and ways that you can make more money and have longer experience, positive experience with your rental property. So with that, we will wrap up. I do appreciate your taking the time and listening to us. Thank you very much.